It is a truth universally acknowledged that Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is not simply a novel about romance, but a mirror held up to society, to manners, to the spark that flares when strong minds meet, and to the evolving rhythm of love. In a world where class and reputation govern every interaction, when we step into Hertfordshire, the setting of much of the story, we enter a space where drawing rooms, country estates, and local assemblies become battlegrounds of wit, charm, and misunderstanding. The air is thick not only with whispered gossip and dancing candlelight but also with the subtle yet powerful weight of expectation: what a young woman must do, how a gentleman must appear, and how much fortune is enough to guarantee respect. And into this world, Austen breathes characters who are alive, flawed, witty, and endlessly fascinating. At the heart of it all stands Elizabeth Bennet, whose quick intelligence and sharp tongue make her at once admired and criticized. She is not content to play the quiet role society expects. Her spark lies in her refusal to be cowed by rank or wealth. When she crosses paths with Fitzwilliam Darcy, proud, reserved, and wealthy beyond imagination, the atmosphere crackles. Their encounters are not soft or sentimental at first. Instead, they clash like flint against steel, each misunderstanding sharpening the tension. Hertfordshire, with its balls and country walks, becomes the stage for this interplay, a place where manners conceal deeper truths and where love must fight through layers of pride, prejudice, and self-realization. The genius of Austen lies in her ability to make the ordinary extraordinary. A dance is never just a dance. It is a negotiation of social rank, of personal desires, of whispered hopes. A simple dinner at Netherfield is never simply about food. It is about how one speaks, how one listens, who sits beside whom, and what judgments quietly form behind every polite smile. In Hertfordshire, appearances matter, but the real drama lies beneath those appearances. Every bow, every glance, every carefully chosen word is charged with meaning. For Elizabeth and Darcy, the journey of love is hidden inside this tapestry of small gestures and seemingly trivial exchanges. Elizabeth's spark comes from her independence of thought. In a society that values women for beauty, obedience, and a good marriage portion, she dares to laugh at the absurdity of those who take themselves too seriously. Her conversations with Darcy bristle with irony and courage, for she is not afraid to tell him what she thinks, even when his wealth and status would intimidate almost anyone else. Darcy, on the other hand, is shackled by pride, by the awareness of his fortune, his connections, and the weight of expectation placed upon him. In Hertfordshire, where gossip spreads like wildfire, Darcy's reserve is mistaken for arrogance, and Elizabeth's lively wit for impertinence. What follows is one of literature's most enduring dances of misunderstanding, where two strong souls misjudge each other before finally seeing one another clearly. But to understand why this love story resonates, we must also explore the world around them. The Bennet family is a picture of both charm and chaos. Mr. Bennet, with his dry humor and detachment, offers amusement but little guidance. Mrs. Bennet, fluttering with nerves and ambition, sees her daughter's marriages as the sole measure of success. Lydia and Kitty chase officers and excitement without thought of consequences, while Mary buries herself in moral lessons and pianoforte practice. Yet, in the midst of this household, Elizabeth stands apart, not because she is flawless, but because she feels deeply and thinks freely. Jane Bennet, the eldest, is her foil, gentle, kind, and so unwilling to think ill of anyone that her goodness sometimes blinds her. Together, the sisters reveal different shades of womanhood in Austen's time, one navigating with wit, the other with grace. When Mr. Bingley, Darcy's amiable friend, arrives in Hertfordshire, society buzzes with anticipation. Bingley is everything. Darcy is not open, cheerful, and quick to admire. He falls almost instantly for Jane, whose quiet beauty and kindness mirror his own warmth. Their affection grows easily, without the spark of conflict that defines Elizabeth and Darcy, but it too must survive the meddling of class and opinion. For behind the easy smiles of Hertfordshire society lie the invisible hands of wealth and reputation. The Bingley sisters, with their polished manners and subtle disdain, cannot imagine their brother marrying into a family with no fortune and a mother prone to embarrassing outbursts. Darcy, loyal to his friend and blinded by his own prejudices, helps separate the couple, and so love, which seemed so simple, becomes tangled in pride and judgment. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's path is marked by other suitors, each offering a mirror to society's expectations. Mr. Collins, the pompous clergyman set to inherit the Bennet estate, is a figure of comic absurdity. He represents the practical marriage, the union based not on love but on security. His proposal to Elizabeth, offered with condescending assurance, is a scene both ridiculous and revealing. Elizabeth refuses him, shocking her mother but affirming her own belief that marriage must be more than convenience. Later, her interactions with George Wickham, charming yet deceptive, show another side of love, the danger of being swept away by appearances. Wickham's easy manners and fabricated stories nearly win Elizabeth's heart, but his mask eventually slips, exposing the recklessness and selfishness beneath. Through these encounters, Austen shows us not just one love story but the entire spectrum of courtship: comic, dangerous, misguided, and true, and always. Hertfordshire frames these dramas with its blend of intimacy and exposure. It is a place, small enough that gossip cannot be escaped, where every arrival at an assembly sets tongues wagging, and every walk across a field can be witnessed and judged. Yet it is also a place of freedom, where Elizabeth can walk alone, where chance meetings happen on country paths, and where love can grow in spite of scrutiny. Austen uses Hertfordshire to show how society both constrains and liberates, how the same community that enforces manners and expectations can also provide the very spark that brings unlikely hearts together. Darcy's first proposal to Elizabeth is the novel's turning point, a moment where all the tension of Pride and Prejudice bursts forth. He speaks with passion but also with condescension, confessing his love while making clear how much he has struggled against her family's inferiority. Elizabeth, burning with indignation, rejects him outright. In this fiery exchange, we see the essence of their conflict: his pride wounded, her prejudice against him confirmed. Yet it is precisely this clash that begins their transformation. For Darcy, it is the shock of realizing that wealth and rank cannot excuse arrogance, that love must be offered with respect. For Elizabeth, it is the eventual recognition that first impressions, however sharp, can be misleading. This proposal, though disastrous, plants the seed of their true love by forcing both to confront their flaws. The letter Darcy later writes becomes a moment of revelation. In it, he explains his actions, exposing Wickham's deceit, and his own reasoning for separating Jane and Bingley. Elizabeth, in reading it, feels the ground shift beneath her. Her certainty crumbles. Her prejudice dissolves into reflection. She begins to see Darcy not as the proud villain she imagined, but as a man of principle, flawed yet sincere. The spark that once flared in conflict now begins to soften into understanding. And so love, in Austen's world, is not simply about attraction, it is about growth. Hertfordshire is not just the backdrop, but the crucible, the place where pride and prejudice burn away to reveal something enduring. As the story unfolds, Darcy's transformation becomes as striking as Elizabeth's. No longer the aloof figure at the Meryton assembly, he proves his devotion not in words but in actions, quietly saving Lydia from disgrace, restoring Bingley to Jane, and humbling himself in the process. Elizabeth, in turn, sees not just his wealth or his status but the generosity and loyalty at his core. Their love becomes possible not because society permits it, but because they both evolve beyond society's shallow measures. In this lies Austen's brilliance. Love is shown not as sudden infatuation, but as an unfolding journey of self-knowledge, humility, and courage.